How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back with a little bit of a beer mail unboxing, a little bit of live unboxing for you guys, courtesy of my boy Charles. This is a kind of a cool beer mail, to be perfectly honest with you. I'll let you know a little backstory here. It's the first time I am getting a beer mail from Charles, but this is not the first time me and Charles talked beer. It was a long time ago. Actually, I could tell you exactly when it was. So, let's see. What do we have here? 3 years ago, Charles reached out to me and he says, like, hey, man, he's like, there's a brewery by me that I really dig, and I think you'd really dig their beers. And he's like, their name is Swamphead. Okay. I said, man, I'll check them out. And at that time, I wasn't really, when I first started doing beer reviews, every now and then I'd reach out to breweries and be like, hey, do you have a kind of a sample program, stuff like that. I used to do that. At that point, I stopped doing that. But I was like, you know what? I'm like, kind of looks like an interesting brewery. Let me reach out. So I reached out to Swamphead. They sent me off a couple different beers, and they were really, really tasty. They sent me off 1 or 2 beers since then, but it's been a while since I've had something from them. Anyway, ended up getting those beers in, review them. Charles was like, hey, man, did you reach out? And I'm like, yeah, they got back to me. They sent me some beers, and it was, done and done. Cool, quick conversation. Found a new brewery I never heard of. Here we go. So, 3 years later, Charles says, hey, man, guess what? I work at Swamphead now, and I want to send you some beers. So he ended up packing up a bunch of beers from the brewery he works at. So he sent this off on its own kind of fruition, or whatever you want to call it. It's not from the brewery, but I thought that was a pretty cool story, in that he was like, a young kid in the craft beer and liked this young small brewery and decided to let me know about it. Turns around to, 3 years later, he ends up getting a job there. So that's a pretty fun thing. So let's crack into this sucker, see what he's got. Hopefully all you guys are doing awesome out there on your little self-quarantining, hopefully. He said there is a note in here. So we'll see what is what. He said it's a lot of their flagship stuff, which I don't know much about, so it's going to be a lot of new stuff for me. So we'll see what's up. So here we go. Core beers in the 4-pack. Cheers. There's a note. So there you go. Okay. So I assume there's 2 4-packs here. That's my guess. Either there's 1 4-pack or 2 4-packs. Throw that off to the side so you guys can see what's what. Very nicely packed. Yeah, this is 2. Okay, it's a 6er. Okay. It's weird. It's not an even amount of beers. But anyway, let's crack in that sucker and see what he ended up sending me. So it's all going to be from the same brewery. It looks like it's going to end up being 4 + 5, 9 beers here. Like I said, all from Swamphead, so we'll see what's what. So core beers are in the 4-pack. We'll actually crack into those first. First up is their Stump Knocker. He said this is actually the beer that got him into beer in general, got him into Swamphead, so I'm kind of excited to give it a whirl. This is packaged hyper fresh. I'm only going to look at dates on these. Just American Pale Ale. Let's see, they call it hops in here. Generous try hop additions, blah, blah, blah. I don't actually see the actual hops called out. Not that that's a big deal. And let me see if I can crack an ABV on this. 5.6. So, yeah. Love me some pale ales. Some of my favorite beers of all time. And honestly, Core 4... Oh, I just realized my audio isn't working. Is it? Is it working, guys? Oh, there it is. Okay. I thought it wasn't working there for a second. Anyway. So, yeah. Let's see what's what. Next up. Oatmeal coffee stout. What I was going to say is Core 4 beers, or core beers. I keep saying Core 4, but they're actually core beers. They're some of my favorite beers that come out of breweries, especially breweries that do have like a main core lineup, because that's like what I assume is, the kind of spirit of the brewery. This is a oatmeal coffee stout, coffee added. It's 5%, so not a big beer at all. And just a base coffee stout. So it's malt, wheat, oats, water, fair trade coffee, and hops. There you go. Label wise, little bayou, little shanty, Swamphead. You can get the theme going on here. Wild Night Honey Cream Ale. I love me cream ale, so it'll be nice to dive into this sucker. Can't read the internet. Like I said, they're probably all super hyper fresh. Honey Cream Ale brewed with honey, 5%. So we're talking about keeping that low ABV game across the board. And last but not least, we have Big Nose, which is their IPA. This is coming at 7.3%. I might have had this one before. I don't believe I reviewed it, but I might have had this one. But it'll be nice to dive into it. I keep trying to check on dates. Each one is less than a month old so far, so take that for what it's worth. Bum, 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 bum. Done and done. So there you go. 4, not core 4, but 4 in the books. Let me bring up my little thing here so you guys can actually, so I can see what's going on. Let's dive into this 5-packer. See what we got going on here. Ooh, this is Doug's Dairy Twirl. This is a strawberry and vanilla chocolate Imperial Neapolitan Stout. Yeah, buddy. 10.5%. Yeah, getting out of that session category right now. So a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it is made with your core 4 ingredients, strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla, and lactose. So, yeah. I love Neapolitan stouts. If they're done well, they really do me all kinds of proper. And I dig this label, just the coloration of it, because it brings an old school kind of Neapolitan vibes to it. But I didn't notice this across the board. It's a really cool kind of detail they have in their labels. You can see right there, they have this kind of like tattered kind of top to it on purpose. A lot of breweries do little details like that. I kind of like that. So, yeah, there's your Neapolitan. We have Ridger. It's called River. River Lager. Black Lager. 5.9% black lager. Yeah, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. A little bit of Schwarzbier up in this piece. Yeah. I love me some black lager, especially in a low ABV kind. So I'm pumped about this one. And label-wise, it's all right. I'm not going to sit here and say I love Swamp Heads labels, but the Neapolitan one is probably my favorite of the bunch so far. Tropical Vibes. I say vibes a lot. This is a mango guava wheat. So mango guava wheat, a lot of times when I get guava in beer, I get a little bit of tartness. So this might come off a little bit like a pseudo kind of Berliner style beer for me. 4.5%, so we're getting back into those chugger ranges. Next up, we have Morning Glow, which is a vanilla coffee blonde ale. That's actually a very nice combination. I've had a couple kind of vanilla coffee blondes. Very few and far between, but when breweries do them well, it's actually a really great combination of flavors, and it comes in at 5.3%. I really like the low ABV kind of theme we have going on here. And last but not least, ooh, this one's kind of a different kind of label. Not really, man. Irish Red Ale. I cannot tell you the last time I saw a brewery do Irish Red Ale. Hoggertown Irish Red Ale. It's 4.8% alcohol by volume. Yeah, I mean, each one of these has a little bit of story time, a la Stone on the back. I'm not going to read all of them, because then this video would be way too effing long. And, yeah, something about the Red Ale. I mean, very hard to pull off well, I believe. A lot of the lower ABV classic styles can be a little bit harder to pull off. But if you do them and you do them well, not many people make them. So if you can not kind of nail that style, that's a good thing. So, yeah, thank you very much, dude. This is a very, very cool... I think that's it in the box, yeah. Very, very cool little spread here, Charles. Thank you very much. Super cool of you. Can't wait to dive into these. I mean, they all look great. Listen, low ABV is the name of the game when it comes to beers. That's one of my favorite things, is low ABV crushers. Minus this sucker and maybe this IPA here. All these are kind of running in your 4s and 5%. So that is kind of right up my alley. And like I said, you know, core beers, like they're the beers that the brewery kind of hangs their head on. A lot of people view those, or almost view that statement as a negative, kind of like, oh, you know, it's kind of their mediocre beer or whatever it may be. But man, that's some of the best beer you ever have. Like drink their house beer, you know. Like one of my favorite beers of all time is Allagash Table Beer, their house beer. You know, it's those house beers, those table beers that really do kind of shine, at least for me, when it comes to a lot of different breweries. So when I walk into a brewery, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You know, if I walk into a pizza place, I'm not going to order, you know, onions and sausage with frickin' pineapple, because I'd never do pineapple because I'm not a sadist, but you know what I'm getting at, a whole bunch of toppings and stuff like that. No, I'm going to say, give me a slice. Not a square or cube tray, a slice of pizza. It's called a slice. It comes in a triangle. I'm going to say, give me a slice of pizza. Plain. Done. And I'm going to eat it. That's how I know if you're a good brewery or a good pizzeria, is get their core beers. If their core beers are on lock, chances are their bigger stuff is going to be pretty good too. There's a lot of breweries out there that do the crazy, wacky, kooky stuff that can't really do the smaller, kind of tighter stuff. And while the crazy, kooky stuff can be quite tasty, even if it's not perfect, there's a lot to hide behind. So that's one of my favorite things when it comes to kind of old school beers and stuff like that. So there you go. Thank you very much, Charles, for sending these off. Super cool of you. Can't wait to dive into these. I will probably do a couple of these tomorrow. Let's jump into that real quick before I kind of cancel this out because I don't want to talk all that long. Jump into the comments real quick. We have one comment, and that's from Pariah Brewing Company. R.I.P. Irish Red Ales. That's right, son. I actually have to contact you. I'm actually been talking about this today. So tomorrow we're going to do a live stream. Again, it's going to be me and the usual folk. It's probably going to be, Kyle from Nohi Beer Reviews, a couple of those other guys. We're going to sit and do another live stream. I said this a couple days before, and the other live stream that I did, I'm going to start doing live stuff about every 3 days. So about, give or take, about twice a week, but kind of rotate them every 3 days so they land on different days so people that have different times and lifestyles can catch this stuff. So I've been looking for different stuff to do, and I think I'm going to start doing my podcast in video format while this whole lockdown's going down, this whole COVID thing. For those who don't know, I do a podcast. It's called Beer Massif. You can go check it out. But the big shtick of that podcast is I actually drive and hang out and talk to brewers face to face. I don't usually like to do the phone interview stuff, but with today's climate and how everything's going, that's not really possible. I usually take the winters off from the podcast, and this is about the time when I really start ramping it back up, because travel's kind of hard in the winter, especially up here in the Northeast, so I kind of diet down for the winter and then bring it back up. I have one podcast actually in the can that I need to post. It's actually Last Wave Brewing from down in Jersey area, but I think for the next couple ones, I'm actually going to shoe the traveling, because I have to, and do some remote podcasting, talking to brewers, talking to journalists, and I think I want to do it in a video format and then basically translate that audio over in a podcast. And I kind of want to do it with one with Pariah. You guys should actually come on and we should do one of those live jams and live hangs. So I'm going to reach out to you either tonight or tomorrow and see what's up. I actually have another brewery probably going to do first. Already talked to those guys about hanging with them, and hopefully they kind of come through and we'll do that. So anyway, tomorrow, around 6-ish, I'll post something probably tonight about us going live tomorrow. So somewhere around 6-ish tomorrow, we're going to do a live stream for about, I don't know, give or take about 2 hours. It's typically the maximum amount of time I have in me to do those kind of things. So we'll do about a 2-hour live stream. We're probably going to theme it in some form or fashion. Maybe you do desert island beers or something like that. Something that themes kind of close to what we're dealing with right now with everybody kind of being locked in at home. And look for a little bit of a kind of a viewer interaction. Next week, we'll probably do another live stream on Monday. And then from there, hopefully we'll have a couple breweries lined up. And then we'll start doing maybe once a week. One of those once a week ones will be actually brewery interviews. We'll sit down with brewers, talk about them, about their brewery in general, but also talk about their climate and how they're dealing with, dealing with no tap room, and having all their beer go out into the world via cans and delivery and stuff like that. Because it's not even like kegs can even be a thing now. Some people have six stills or kegerators at home, but that's not going to really, keep your lights on. So I think there's a lot of interesting conversations to have there. So anyway, quick little ditty, quick little update, quick little foreshadowing on what we're going to be doing over the next week or so. Quick little unboxing from my boy Charles. Thank you very much again, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the little quickie here. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of good beer right now. Hopefully some of it might be a little bit of a swamp head up in your piece. Hopefully see you next time.